How many times have you heard a woman say, men are just so intimidated by me? And you think to yourself, intimidated? No. And you want to break it down to her. You want to explain to the lady what it really means. But you don't have the words. Well, that's where I come in. That's what you got me for. Today's lessons. Fallacy. Men are intimidated by women. Let's get it in. Now we're going straight into the details. Bang, bang. So why does this even happen? Why do women say this? Why do women even think this? Well, for a few reasons, ladies. One straight up cold reason is that it makes you feel better. Another one is sometimes you just want to win. And ladies, a part of you actually believes this to be true. Unfortunately, ladies, this is untrue. It's a fallacy because you are very often missing key elements of what it means to be intimidated. For that feeling to happen, you need to have what I call something that makes you cower to their power. If a man is not feeling the need to cower, to physically lower his body, to have a physical change, the physical equivalent of him putting his tail between his legs, if that didn't happen, he's not intimidated. It is mostly based in a physical response to fear. Specifically, fear of something physical happening to the man. If you ask Webster, it literally means to frighten, to influence by threats. Is that how you're making him feel? When you're thinking he's intimidated by your college degree? Is he feeling physical fear? Word? So ladies, no. That's not what you're making him feel. You're not making him feel like he has to cower. You're probably making him feel like he wants to leave. It's a choice rather than something he's pushed into. And it's highly likely that he's not choosing that based on him being worried or fearful of you doing something physical to him. Let me give you an example of what it really means to be intimidated. Let's say you're a man, you're getting drunk at a party with like everybody's dressed nice. You're in there, you're sloppy drunk, and you knock over a pregnant woman. She doesn't fall hard to the ground, but she just stumbles and lands on her knee. And you're worried about it. You're like, oh no, I shouldn't. And you look down to see if she's okay, and she's okay, but she's like slightly hurt. And then she looks up at her husband, and then you look up, and you meet his eyes, and you see her husband is the Rock. That feeling, that's intimidation. In that moment, that man is feeling like he's cowering to the Rock's power. So ladies, is that you? Are you having dudes quaking in their boots like that? Are you really having cats just afraid to be around you, afraid to make you upset, or afraid to make you angry because of something that they did? Are these dudes really out there afraid that you're going to whoop their ass? Now, I'm not saying that men don't ever fear a woman, but it's usually fear from a distance. To give you another example, you ladies are more like a 10-year-old girl who's swinging a plastic bat at a grown man's face. Where, are we worried that we're going to feel pain? Yeah. Do we want to avoid the pain? Sure. But is there fear, really? Are you afraid of this little girl? Or is it more like you don't want to deal with the pain and you're like, not even fear, it's just more of an avoidance of the physical hit to your face? Are you feeling fear of this 10-year-old little girl swinging a plastic bat at your face? Nah. It's not. So you could kind of count it as fear, I guess. It's in the fear category, but it's much more at a distance. It's weirdly, you're feeling that you need to protect this person, not necessarily protect yourself. When you're avoiding this little girl swinging a plastic bat at your face, you're not thinking, I need to protect myself. It's more like, I need to stop her whilst still protecting her. Oddly enough, ladies, and this especially if you have sons who fit this category, we stop feeling physical fear of you all around the age of 10. Around 10 years old, we've been on the earth for about a decade, and we don't feel physical fear as much at all. Physical fear of what mom could do to you is almost 100% gone by the time you're 10 years old. And it doesn't mean that you're not afraid of mom. There are certain things that women can do, and again, that's your mama, let alone a random woman who you don't know, let alone if you're older than 10 years old. After that first decade, where we've already gone through hardships and pain and things and had to deal with, like, pain it's not the same coming from a woman as it is coming from a man. It's just how the game goes. So it's less about fear and way more about wrath avoidance. We want to avoid your wrath because it's an annoying thing. It's a pain in the ass more than it is a actual pain for us. And again, by the time we're 10, we've probably gone through pain. We've probably gotten into some fights. We've probably been falling off of a roof, broken an arm, something where pain, you're starting to get used to it. You're starting to grow up a little bit physically. Your mom is probably, you're maybe catching up to her on height. You're starting to think that it's not the same. So again, it's more about wrath avoidance or other things that women can wield, like guilt. Guilt tripping, that'll definitely mess up a dude, no matter how old he is. So ladies, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, why? Why even change my words? Why does it matter? And if I do decide to change my words, what should my word choice be? What is it really? I don't want to say wrath avoidance, that's too long. So what are the things I should be thinking? Instead of thinking, he's intimidated by me, I should be thinking what? Well, of course, we're going to tell you. It's balance of power. We're not just going to lay out some stuff. We're going to tell you the response. So one of the first things you should be thinking when this goes down, ladies, is he doesn't like me. Yes, ladies, I know. When you have a dude and in your head you're thinking, oh, he's just intimidated by me. No, it's probably because he don't like your ass. That was cold-blooded. Either he doesn't like you or he doesn't like a piece of how you operate, a piece of you. There's something in your makeup that makes him go, mm-hmm. So you should be thinking things like, he doesn't like me, or he's avoiding me, or he's annoyed with me, or maybe, just maybe, he doesn't want to hear me talk. So the why, ladies, as to why you should say the more correct words is because at that point, it's you taking responsibility for what's going on in the situation. If you're taking responsibility for your portion, for why he might not like you, then you can actually make changes. You can actually correct the behavior or whatever it might be as to why you can't keep a man. Instead of it being about him and what he's doing and him being weaker, or he's too this or he's too that, you start to look at yourself. You start to think, what can I, woman, do to change this scenario, to change the situation? If the only thing you're thinking is it's a shortcoming on his part, because that's really what you're saying. Oh, he's intimidated by me means he's too weak. He's too this, he's too that. And these two things are less than things. He's not strong enough is basically what you're saying. He's not man enough is basically what you're saying. He's not smart enough. He's not quick enough. He's not whatever. He's not measuring up. Instead of it being about maybe your personality needing some work. Because the only way that things are going to get better is if you change them. You have the power to change them. But if you always think it's him, then you never change. Now there are some exceptions to this. Now most likely you're not the exception, but I'm going to tell you what the exceptions are anyway, because you're going to think about them. You're going to have other women being like, no, because there's this woman is intimidating, and this, I'm going to tell you what the exceptions are. But again, like 90%, it's not going to be you. But at least you'll know what it is because you will see it. And of course, it's a classroom. I'm being thorough, letting you know what the exceptions are. Here we go. Basically, you gotta be that woman. You gotta be her. You gotta be powerful in a specific way. You gotta be like Jessica Pearson.
Wait a second. You want me to take him to lunch because you banged him?
Harvey, I want you to go ahead and say banged to my face one more time.
I'm not going to, but not because I'm scared of you.
Whatever lets you sleep at night.
In that situation, the reason why Harvey felt intimidated by her in the true sense is because there's an element of fear, an element of him cowering to her power. In order for a man to feel that from a woman, there's specific things you need. You need this equation. Specifically, 1, emotional power plus intelligence wrapped in excellence. If it ain't that, he's not going to feel it. And he's going to feel that mostly in areas that are his job, his career. If it's in the outside world, it's where he's competing for those positions. And it's got to be competing with a woman who's at the top of her game. But she has to have it done in that specific way. It's got to be the emotional power behind it. Because again, if you don't make us feel anything, you have no control over us. Which is why a dude can compete with women at his job and it doesn't have any kind of intimidating factor. The men in your office are not intimidated by it. They don't care about, no. They're probably, no offense ladies, not even thinking of you as competition, which I know you might find, I don't know, degrading. But it's not because they don't see you as valuable. It's because when it comes to competition, especially how we do it, yeah, I can compete with you as in you're another person that is on the roster. You're another person that's not dating roster. But you're another person that's on the team who I'm competing with for the top spot. But even if you were to beat the dude, unless it's like beating him out for some money or beating him out for a specific promotion, but if it's just like quality of like who's the best whatever and there's no money attached, no promotion attached, he's not really going to care. He's not really going to put you in the same competitive category because we compete with men differently than we do with women. So you got to make him feel something and you got to be smart about it. He's going to respect the intelligence and how you do it. These two things put together and excellent. You got to be excellent. You got to be really good at what you do. You can't be beating him because you've got something that has nothing to do with skill or excellence. If it has some other reason why you're beating him, like, oh, you're getting the job because your dad owns the company, we don't even compete with other men in that way. We don't care about these weird leg ups that people get that have nothing to do with their own personal skill. So you have to have that combination. So other categories for these exceptions. We've already got high levels for a job. Another one is going to be high levels of society. Another one is going to be high levels of sweetness and kindness. So there's that equation we already talked about, right? There's the emotional power plus intelligence wrapped in excellence. And in order to get the emotional power, you have to do it in this thing that I call graceful respect. You gotta be graceful. You gotta be poised. You have to be classy in how you do it. You can't get down and dirty and grimy. You can't compete the way that men do. I'm not saying you can't physically do that. You have the ability to do that. But what I'm saying is if you really want the dude to feel intimidated by you, there's got to be an element of graceful respect, element of classiness, which is why you can have a man intimidated by you because you're so sweet and kind. High levels of sweet and kindness. It doesn't require you to be hard in order to make us feel intimidated. It actually requires you to be more soft. Great example is your grandmother. Your grandmother, if she's like really nice and sweet or whatever, you will feel, weirdly, as a man, intimidated by fearing making her upset. You cower to her power because, again, ladies, that's a form of power over us. Your softness, your gracefulness is powerful to us. You might not see it as powerful because for you all, a man's currency is his strength. But if you really want to make us feel intimidated, if you don't have that graceful respect, if you don't have that emotional power wrapped with those other two things, it's not going to work. There is no intimidation, which is why often you are not the exception. Many of you are trying to make a dude feel intimidated with this odd DMX energy. It's never gonna happen. We don't care. Are you Ronda Rousey? Are you having a dude feel like you could whoop his ass, and even then, he might fear you. He might run away to avoid you. It might be something like that. Again, we can do wrath avoidance all day. A woman who's gonna slash her tires or what, like, yeah, there might be some fear. It's not like we can't ever fear women, but intimidated? Would we cower to the power? Would we feel the power and feel like we have no choice but to sink, fold, and give in to everything you want? Or do we feel it and it's just pain avoidance? It's just like, ooh, it's a big obstacle. It's someone trying to stab me. Like, it's different, which is why I gave the example. It's like a 10-year-old girl swinging a plastic bat at your face. You don't feel like you're gonna die. You don't feel fear. It's like, oh, it's gonna hurt if it hits me in my eye, and I might lose an eye, and she could hit me in my temple, and technically I might die, but you're not afraid of it. It's not the same thing. Ladies, most likely, 90+% of the time, you're not making him feel intimidated. You're making him feel something else, but intimidated? Nah. So take responsibility for what's actually going on. As long as you're not thinking that it's all him and it's just because he's too weak for you because you're just so intimidating, you can actually start to deal with the real problems. And yeah, dealing with the real problems as to why people are avoiding you might be difficult, but this is where we are. It's not the same as when you first get somebody. That's easy. Acquisition is elementary. Retention is hard. Now that's the end of today's lesson. And today's lesson, as most lessons, are mostly free, but you got to pay a small fee in the form of a thumb. Doesn't matter whether you love it or hate it, as long as you let a brother know with one of these thumbs. Now, we are a new channel. Make sure you subscribe if you found value in this. And you know you did. Subscribe to the channel so that way you don't miss any of these juicy tidbits of information. And again, if you're a gentleman or a lady, whoever you are right now, slide this video to somebody else who you think might benefit from this. Sharing is caring. Now I know you love these lessons, so come on back and click on another video. Until next time, no. Deuce, deuce.